More than 6 months into the pandemic and several months into protests for racial justice around the country, we see and hear a lot of pundits speculating about how in the future we will look back at this time of great upheaval and uncertainty. I've been thinking about that a lot too, as I'm sure you have. And I'm reminded of a couple of important Christian figures who reflected on what it meant to look back into the past. One, the 19th century Danish theologian Soren Kierkegaard, who famously remarked that we only understand our lives by looking backwards, but we are forced to live them moving forward. And also the great Saint Augustine, one of the fathers of the church, who in his Confessions, often considered the first autobiography in the Western tradition, written in the late 4th century, Augustine looked back at his life before his conversion and felt that looking back, suddenly everything that had not made sense to him at the time made sense because he could see God's fingerprint, God moving through his life to bring him to the point where he was at that day, a converted Christian dedicated to the life of the church, and in fact, in his case, an important bishop, thinker, and writer throughout the Christianized Roman Empire. We have multiple examples from the Psalms of different psalmists at times of difficulty, great trouble for the psalmist personally or for the nation itself, looking back and affirming God's presence, leadership, God's care and provision in times past, and asking him or herself and the nation, how can we dare to doubt God when we can look to God's favor and provision in the past? God has always been with us. Why are we not always with God? I don't know how from the future we will look back and think about these months and this time that we are in, this time of pandemic, of, of protest, and of great political uncertainty. One thing I'm pretty sure of is we will look back and see that God was with us in this time, still providing for us despite uncertainty, despite moments of chaos. I think that we will be able to see the imprint of God's care and provision. I hope you have a great week.